Konnichiwa, konbanwa, ohayo gozaimasu. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Khan, and welcome to episode 127 of Good or Garbage, the #1 place where you can find out what stuff is being sold in a division on a weekly basis. And this week, your boy done broke out the Reclaimer and the Caduceus. I wanted to try this stuff out just because I was working on the build. I finally finished getting all of the classifieds for this during last week's GE stuff, so I figured I'd bust it out for GOG and play around with it. Now this week there are quite a few really nice performance mods, 6% health kind of related performance mods, one for self heal, one for ally heal, so reclaimers out there can rejoice. But if you've been looking for those self heals, then you can definitely do that. If you are new to my channel, please remember to look in the description for the heads up section. The heads up section will let you know what stuff I don't talk about that might be worth your time, so check it out. All right, now let's move on to the attachments for this week. At West 46th Street this week, we have a loud vent break with 18% critical hit damage. Yeah, I know it's not 19, but you know, I don't choose what they sell. I just report. 2.5% stability, 2.5% critical hit chance. Again, I know, I'm just reporting. This is also coming with 48% increased threat. Now, if you have been looking for a loud vent break, this will definitely be a holdover. This is not going to be your main squeeze. This is only going to be something that will kind of, you know, roll with you until you get something better. If you are looking for this, you can go head over to West 46th Street. Check it out. This week at the special equipment vendor in the base of operations, there's an extended magazine for sale, 120 magazine size, 2.5% critical hit chance, and 4.6% rate of fire. Now, last week I got a bunch of messages and comments from people saying, what about rate of fire? What about rate of fire? That ain't a guide roll because it ain't got rate of fire. Yeah, well, okay, whatever. That's your opinion. You are entitled to your opinion, but I still think that the extended mag last week was a guide roll. I really don't care if you agree. That's my opinion. Now, as for this one, there is room to improve, obviously. The crit chance is not at 3, which we would like, and the rate of fire is not even at 5. I have some that are like 5.4 or so. Don't remember if I have any that are higher than that for rate of fire, but this one can be improved upon. But if you are desperately looking for a rate of fire high capacity magazine with some crit chance, then this could work out for you. Just remember that it will cost you Phoenix credits. This week over at the Meat Locker, there is an Omega rifle suppressor for sale with 18.5% headshot damage, 4.5% range, 2.5% critical hit chance, and 49% reduced threat. Now, while this is not the ultimate super god roll, there is no crit damage on this. The crit chance could be a bit higher. The headshot damage is still pretty good, and if you're using an Omega rifle suppressor, you should be using it for headshot damage and trying to get headshot damage. So with that in mind, 18.5 is still very, very good. And yeah, if you are, you know, looking for an Omega rifle suppressor, this may not be the one to take home to mom, but it'll still you know, get it done, you know, on those cold and lonely nights. At the Grindhouse this week, there is a heavy magazine spring being sold with 4% critical hit damage, 3% critical hit chance, and 11.1% rate of fire. Now, if you are running LONESTAR, this could be exactly what you're looking for on a smaller magazine LMG. Throw this bad boy in there, you get a ridiculous amount of rate of fire, you get a pretty good amount of chance, you get some damage, but then once that LONESTAR bonus kicks in, you're off to the races. If you've been looking for a good magazine to throw into your LONESTAR builds, and you have a couple of LMGs that are waiting to just burn through enemies, this could be what you've been waiting for. Head on over to the Grindhouse, check it out. Now let's go take a look at this week's gear mods. This week over at the Firewall, there is a prototype stamina mod being sold with 195 stamina and 3% damage to elites. Now, while this is not the amazing 4% damage to elites that I know a lot of people are waiting for, so far from what I've seen, and I've actually seen quite a few damage to elites mods this week, this is the best one for this week at 195 stam. They all have 3% damage to elites, but until we see the 4, this is what we have to make do. So if you are holding out or want to try out damage to elites mods, you can definitely go over to the Firewall and give it a go. This week at Autumn's Hope, we have a really nice prototype firearms mod being sold with 264 firearms. It also comes in with a really nice 3,100 health. So if you are looking for some firearms loving and you also want to bump up your health at the same time, this is definitely one of the mods for this week that you will not want to pass up. This week over at West 46th Street, we have a prototype firearms mod with 267 firearms and 3% signature ability resource gain. Now, I know a lot of people probably, more than likely, not probably, definitely will want something other than signature ability resource gain. Hey, at least it's not all resist. We can all agree that we've won something by it not being all resist, but it is the maximum firearms, which is good, but depending on if you're looking for a signature ability or not, this is a deal breaker. But for some of you who are looking for that, maybe you're running in a group, maybe you want to burst people down with your super, maybe you want to get it right back, this could work out really well for you, especially if you're speccing high into firearms. If you are looking for that, it is over at West 46th Street. At East 46th Street this week, we have a performance mod with 6% first aid ally heal being sold. I know a lot of people are looking for first aid self heals and ally heals. If you are running as a healer in your group, or if you just want to have one or two of these in your build to help out your team, then you can definitely go ahead and check this out over at East 46th Street. At West 34th Street this week, we have a prototype performance mod with 6% first aid self-heal. This is really rare to have both the first aid self-heal and the first aid ally heal at the maximum 6%, all in the same week. This is pretty good. So if you have been looking for these, I know quite a few people have been looking for these. They have messaged me about this in the descriptions and not in the description, but in the comment section. If you're one of those people, I'm happy to announce that both of them are for sale this week. So definitely go and check this out. Go pick them up. If you are not really even looking for these, you may want to pick up, at least enough for one build and just kind of hide them in your stash, because one day you may be looking back and saying, I really wish I had bought those first aid self heals. Con told me to buy them and I was like, nah, I don't really need them. And now look at you. Go ahead, do yourself a favor, head over to West 34th Street, get you some first aid self heals. Now let's take a look at the 280 to 283 gear score items. This week at the special equipment vendor in the base of operations, there is a gear score 281 Centurion being sold. This one coming in with Competent. So if you've been looking for a Centurion to go with your Liberator, then this could work out for you. Don't really know about Competent. You may want to re-roll that if you are, desperately looking to grab one of these. Just because personally, I like to have some kind of utilitarian skill, and Competent doesn't serve much utility purposes for me, just because I don't want to use a skill when I'm switching to my sidearm. When I'm switching to my sidearm, either things are going really wrong or I'm just trying to get sidearm kills. If you are trying to get sidearm kills, this could work out for you though, an extra bump to damage for 15 seconds. So depending on what you are personally looking for, this could be a great weapon to pick up, or it could be something that you just throw in the garbage and pass up. At West 53rd Street this week, there is a gear score 280 AUG A3 Para XS for sale and it's got some pretty decent talents on it, some pretty nice talents. I usually don't recommend the AUG just because we all know that the house is king when it comes to SMGs, and my personal preference, I like the MP5s in a nice runner-up or second place, and then I would probably put the AUG in after that. Some people may say the MP7s are second or even third, just depends on what you like. Now the thing about this AUG is that it has, again, as I said, some really nice talents. You have destructive, you have responsive, and you have brutal. Now you also have options when it comes to this, because you can put deadly. Deadly is kind of the mainstay when it comes to any of these, so you have choices. You can either take off destructive and put deadly, and then have deadly, responsive, and brutal, which used to be the trifecta when it came to weapons back in the day. But you know, now when you think about it, if you're not really trying to hit your headshots, depending on who you are or how you like to play, you could roll off brutal and then put deadly on there, and then have the destructive destruction to enemy armor, which could really work out for you, because then you don't really have to worry so much about aiming for the head. You could aim for the chest if you wanted, or if you know you were just in a pinch and you needed to aim for the chest, you could do it that way. If you are going for PvP though, then you may want to get rid of destructive, because that really doesn't do anything for PvP, but you could have brutal, which will still give you that extra headshot damage. You have options with this gun. If you are looking for an SMG, or you have not been lucky enough to get a house and you're still dying for an SMG, I would say this is probably one of the better, if not the best SMG that is being sold this week. Head on over. Yeah, go check it out over at West 53rd Street. Let me know if you pick it up. Now it's time to wrap things up in the 284 plus gear score section. This week at Camp Clinton, there is a gear score 286 M45A1 sidearm being sold. This one coming in with Coolheaded. Now, while I usually don't promote Coolheaded so much, on the sidearm it's pretty good. I'll keep that 100 with you. On the sidearm it's not too bad. Performing a headshot reduces all skill cooldown by 5%. Now, Determined is probably one of my go-to skill cooldown talents that I like to have, but the thing about Determined is that it requires more electronics. Now, while Coolheaded doesn't require as many electronics, this could work out for some of you, maybe not, depending on your build. But if you are looking for something like this to help with the skill cooldowns, use your skills a whole lot more, then this could work out for you. A nice little sidearm, great utility use. I would recommend it, and with a gear score of 286, you kind of can't go wrong. Alright guys, that is it for this week's Good or Garbage. I hope you guys found something useful. There were some pretty decent mods this week. I was actually surprised to see 2 maxed out performance mods for the self heal and the ally heal. Those are pretty good. I'm really not gonna lie, those were decent mods. They were all right. Hopefully you picked those up and you got something else. There may have been, I think, what was it, the 267 signature one wasn't too bad, although I personally wouldn't have preferred signature, but it is what it is. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys picked up. Now, a little bit of news, or I guess information I'd like to share. Yesterday I did a Spider-Man stream. I hope you guys came and checked it out. We had quite a few people come through, but Saturday streams, which are usually after I do Good or Garbage, those streams honestly don't really do that well in terms of like viewers coming through. And I understand that. I put something on Twitter letting you guys decide and vote on what you kind of thought about that. I know it's like 3 o'clock or maybe 4 o'clock in the morning by the time people see some of this, if you're on the East Coast. So I was thinking about having a Japanese stream where I speak Japanese and practice my Japanese with some Japanese friends and Japanese streamers, and doing that on Saturday because it's Japanese, it's like noon, like afternoon in Japan. And I was thinking about doing the Saturday stream, moving that content over to Sunday morning, which would be like Saturday evening for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and go check out the Twitter and vote.